Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Wrestle Rewind. Today is October the 11th, 2019, and we're already off to a great start as Double Clay.
Today's the 10th.
You're right, today is the 10th.
I learned a pickup line.
All right, well, hold on. Stop the
We're
show.
gonna pause for a
Stop
moment.
the damn show. Let's hear it. I know there's at least one viewer that would want to hear it.
Oh, now I'm embarrassed.
Mine's your face red.
You brought it up. I know, I didn't mean to blurt that out.
It's too late.
It's like, are you are you today's date because you're a 10 out of 10? No? I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
All right, let's move on.
Maybe that's what Sean Spears kept saying to Moxley last night.
I thought it was so clever.
It's not bad.
10 out of 10.
It's not bad.
Anyway, but that's how I know what today's
I'm going to
date
drop that genius line on my wife tonight and see what happens.
is. Well,
Nope, don't. Just leave it alone. Leave it
I don't
alone.
think it could get much worse.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
I
It
mean-
can. You know this group. It can get much worse very quickly, actually. So we'll kick off tonight's show. We have a ton to talk about in the wrestling world from this past week. However, we're going to kick it off with our normal Today in Wrestling History. Could not find any birthdays today, but what I did find is Psychosis was arrested on this date in 2011, I believe.
Attaboy.
And out of all the things that he could be arrested for, it was for Grand Theft Auto.
oh, nice. At least he changed it up.
But yeah, there's a great. See, I missed. That's
Hey!
the. It's always interesting when you see that some of these guys don't necessarily have really prominent careers after they leave the mainstream.
But consequently, I think that was the actual mugshot.
Wait a minute, time out. What did you just say?
You know, say DVR or DVD or whatever that. I don't know what consequently is what I was going for there.
What we got was consequence. Consequence.
It's a Coke. I just didn't know it was a Coke.
Consequence. I mean, I don't have any room to
So I sounded like Sean Connery.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right then. See,
That's not what your mother said, Trebek. But
you ever feel like we're having a hard time starting a show?
yeah, clearly. So that's the only thing I've got from Today in Wrestling History. And for the first time in a long time, we're going to switch things up tonight, and it's probably going to surprise some folks. But usually we go straight into talking about WWE. That is not going to be our first topic this evening. We're actually going to go straight into talking AEW because I believe this week's past content, SmackDown's premiere excluded. But if I think about Hell in a Cell and Monday Night Raw, because that was in the same week as last night's AEW Dynamite show, the hottest thing in the wrestling industry right now is AEW, coming off of last night's show.
They made the list.
So I think that it put Hell in a Cell to shame, it put Raw to shame, and it put NXT to shame last night. And that probably makes some folks nauseous to hear me say that, because I have not been very high on AEW in the past. But last night I think they definitely showed a lot more promise than what we have seen recently.
I feel like they had it easy this week to look good.
Maybe. That might be
And I'm not saying that to take away from what they put out, what their show was, because it was a good show. I just feel like coming off of Hell in a Cell, that Raw had to be extremely lackluster, and it was. I don't think coming directly off that Hell in a Cell finish that anybody was really excited for Monday night.
I think you're probably right.
And I would say this was the first Monday night since Heyman really took over and started doing his thing that I genuinely I watched it. I don't even remember finishing it, but I just had no interest in it.
It was boring.
So I feel like, they didn't really do anything. I mean, the draft is coming up, so they didn't really do anything, but I just feel like maybe AEW had it easy this week, and they put on a good show. So, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they definitely... I think there's a variety of things that were happening here. I think some of it was they put on a good show because they just knew what they were doing. They provided great talent.
Well, they got past their first show, so now it's just all those nerves of the first show are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now they can just do what they do.
Yeah, I think that, one of the things that was probably the most entertaining about last night's show was Jericho's promo. And what we got here was Jericho in true Jericho fashion. And unscripted, you could tell that it's almost like he's having fun again. And it was cool. Everything about it last night. I don't always completely align with some of the way those promos are cut, but I can definitely get on board with the fact that I think AEW is headed in the right direction.
That's like a full 180 from where you've been.
Yeah. But I've always been one that I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I'm willing to accept when maybe I was a little bit too judgmental on them too fast. I don't take back anything I've said about the shows they presented. I just think that last night marked a new turning point for them, so to speak. As if they can continue producing the product that they provided last night, with the exception of one match, then I think they've got a bright future ahead of them if WWE continues to pull the stunts like they pulled this past Sunday at Hell in a Cell. Because that might actually be what's making me feel the way that I feel right now is what happened on Sunday. But we're going to get to that. Let's not get into that right now. We'll get into that when we get to the WWE portion. But other thoughts from the group? Amen.
I have not watched the entire show because I watched NXT live, so I can't really comment. I saw highlights.
And NXT had a great show, too. Going back and watching the... what's his face? The NXT UK champion. Walter. And the Kushida match was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And Walter, for a big guy, can put on a hell of a match. Mm-hmm. Like, everything that I've seen him in, he is just very well-rounded as a performer.
How much money would it take for you to let Walter just have one of those big chops? Free shot. How much money would you need to have that happen?
That depends. If he would come on the show, then I don't think anybody have to pay me anything. No. I'd let him come on the show and do it.
I love this show and I love what we do, but I'm not going to stand still and take one of those. Just.
I mean, it's going to hurt
to have him on the show. Shit, yeah, it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. I don't think that there's anybody else that has a chop like his.
Mm-mm. No.
There's nobody else. There's been plenty of people that have done it, but I've never seen anybody do it quite the same way.
Hand and arm prints.
Oh, yeah.
On people.
I think he's the only one in recent memory that doesn't get a woo every time he chops somebody, because everybody's going, oh, God!
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because just think of it's one of those, you feel that in your soul.
Yeah.
When he hits you. Because, one, he's not a little guy. He's a big boy.
Well, I don't think you feel it in your soul. I think it knocks your soul out.
It could be. Your mom probably feels it. So, it's...
I was trying.
He's got some oomph behind those. But for those of you that have had a chance to watch Jericho's promo, he did take a direct jab at WWE's creative team. That part I wasn't necessarily as on board with, given the fact that the part that he was taking a jab at was the "We the People" chant that was coming out of the crowd. And as Jericho introduced him, Jake Hagar, a.k.a. Jack Swagger, would not have... his WWE career probably would have ended about 3 years before it did if it wasn't for that "We the People" chant. That was really what saved his career and revitalized him as being a prominent figure. Mm-hmm. So I always struggle when I hear them bury things like that. And I've been not pulled any punches about my issues with CM Punk and what he said about his career, and the fact that if it wasn't for WWE, UFC wouldn't even know who Phil Brooks is. So,
but Jake Hagar didn't bury it. Jericho did.
No, I'm with you. I agree, and I think I get it. I understand exactly why he did it. I think it was a smart move business wise.
Well, sure it was, and I think that sums Jericho up though. He knows this inside and out. So
yeah,
And Jericho really has nothing to lose at this point.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's...
Even if AEW were to tank, he's made stupid amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
And
No, he's good. Yeah, he's fine.
And WWE would
this
take
could
him
be
back in a heartbeat.
Well, yeah. So,
Yeah.
he, at this point, he could say anything and be fine.
Part of me feels like maybe, possibly, if Vince saw that, Vince kind of sat back and chuckled a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
He had...
Yeah.
Because, like we were saying before the show, I feel like Jericho's the only person that could do that or say something like that on national television and Vince see it and be like, well.
You're right.
I'm not saying he liked it, but part of me likes to think that he probably sat back and was like, it was kind of funny.
Well, I think any time that there's relevance there, and what I mean by that is if they're chanting a WWE phrase on AEW, Vince is not going to be upset about that.
No.
Because that lets him know. I mean, all it is it's proof of legacy is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the next thing we've got here on the run sheet for AEW is there new light at the end of the tunnel for AEW.
What do you mean necessarily for that?
So, if we compare what happened with whatever happened at Hell in a Cell on Sunday night with what we got last night from AEW, if that continues in this form, does AEW now have basically a window of opportunity? So, WWE stumbled. Can AEW capitalize on it? Because I think they did last night.
And do what, though?
Well,
I don't think WWE, they did stumble. That's not what I'm going to say. I don't think that they're really worried about it because, again, I think where they're going to plan, whether they do or not, but where they're going to plan to make up for it is through this draft. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens tomorrow night and Monday night is going to shape up how this new wrestling war is going to go.
Well, and I honestly think that what you're going to get is, I think the draft is kind of a joke. I think it's, and I don't mean that in a negative way. What I mean is, it's kind of like it's a good rib, because really all this draft is WWE looking at Fox and saying, well, who do you want on Friday nights?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's really what this is. You look at the money that's involved in this, $1.6 billion in television deals. So Fox pretty much has the ability to demand whatever it is they want to demand from WWE.
Yeah.
So how do you think they got Brock Lesnar on Friday nights? How do you think that they got, which, I mean, he's now, you have, well, we're going to get there. I want to get into the WWE conversation, but, it's just, what I meant by is there light at the end of the tunnel now is that AEW has an uphill fight throughout this entire process. Because they are going to war with the largest entertainment conglomerate on the planet. Not just wrestling, just the largest live entertainment conglomerate on the planet. And you're trying to compete with them against one of their minor brands, but you're still trying to compete with them. I mean, that's clear. It's evident now. They've made that. There's been no punches pulled about that's what they're doing. So, do they now have, like, last night did we see a new approach from AEW that's more forceful than what we've seen in the past few months?
No, I think last night was definitely, I mean, there were direct shots taken.
Sure.
Where I wondered was, did they just decide to do that now because of Sunday, or was this kind of the plan the entire time?
Well, I think it's because of the way that their ratings were last week.
I mean, it had to be a confidence boost, but I'm talking about...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we talked about them last week on the show.
No, but the ratings for last night.
Everything was down, NXT and AEW, but AEW was still over a million average.
Yeah.
What NXT was down to, what, 700-something thousand?
I think so.
And that's going to fluctuate week to week.
Well, yeah.
When you've got Major League Baseball still competing on Wednesday nights, and you're in championship series games, you're gonna have,
and the playoffs are actually pretty good this year.
Yeah, with a lot of surprises.
Yeah,
and so there's going to be some nights where the ratings just aren't going to be there. And that's not a discredit to either WWE or AEW. It's just the reality of the business.
Yeah.
When you're competing, it's no different than when you get into Super Bowl. You get into Super Bowl Sunday. If you're running a pay-per-view on Super Bowl Sunday, well, you're an idiot because you're not going to get the attraction.
That's your own fault.
Yeah.
That's just one of those things where you just don't do that.
Right.
And quite frankly, if you're a wrestling agency, why would you run on the same Sunday as WrestleMania? I mean, it's just one of those things where why would you do that? Not because you can't, but it just doesn't make sense business-wise. And even AEW at this point, I think it would be a mistake. Because let's face it, if we think about what Friday Night Smackdown looked like last Friday, imagine what we're going to get at WrestleMania. If that was the premiere of Smackdown on Fox, imagine what we're going to get in Tampa.
Well, I mean, it was like a pay-per-view on a Friday. I mean, it was 100%. It felt like a pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. It looked like a damn pay-per-view.
So before we get there, let's kind of go through. Moving on from AEW, the other live broadcast that went out last week was NWA's new program, Power. Did any of you have an opportunity to go back and watch that? It's only an hour long.
I did.
You watched it at work today, right?
For me,
no, I watched it last night.
For me, it had a very old school feel to it.
Yes, it did.
Like it reminded me early 90s.
Well, you probably, honestly, came in on the tail end of the studio shows.
Yeah.
I grew up watching the studio shows. And I can remember Ric Flair coming out to cut his promos and these cheap-looking sliding doors that would come out. And, you see the cameras wheeling around. I mean, it was always so cool. I'm glad to have something like that back to see.
Yeah, and it was the Nick Aldis match was great.
And his promo, God, like that was a promo.
I saw his
week,
promo.
in my
Yeah.
opinion. It was everything he said was real. But
Yeah.
the way he said it, like you went on their journey throughout his career in that promo.
Yeah.
And then he sold that match. It was amazing. Like you would think it was a pay-per-view night, the way he was hyping it up. And I never seen wrestlers come out without entrance themes, so that was so cool.
It's weird.
Well,
now looking back on it, it's weird.
At first, I didn't know how I felt about it, especially with your champion coming out. Like Nick and not that it was quiet, obviously, because of the fans there, but I just felt like it kind of. At first, I thought maybe it took away from that feel, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the champions not having it, but it's definitely.
Well, without the music, there's no way to really. Somebody's getting ready to walk out the door, or somebody's getting ready to walk through a curtain, or something
music
like that.
Music or cues. It's cues
And
for
then,
the crowd.
Music is what sets the crowd
Yeah.
here, and then so you've got two levels of excitement. The music hits and they go here, just like we'll think back to SmackDown Friday when the Rock's music hit. The crowd went to one level, and then as he walks out, they went to an entirely different level. So,
well, I feel like everybody went to a whole different level when his music hits.
Oh,
still to this moment, I still get goosebumps.
I literally jumped over one of my kids.
But that's going to take us on to the next. We said we had so much to talk about, but
wait, a few more things about
NWA.
Moving on from NWA.
Yeah,
a few more things. Jim Cornette is great.
Always has been.
I forgot how much I enjoyed hearing him, and just he sounds like he's just talking to a friend.
Yeah.
But not just more class to it and more sophistication, but just everyday normal talk. Like when
Class,
they were running around the ring.
Sophistication, Jim Cornette.
Those words don't necessarily go together.
I know what you're saying.
If you hear him on commentary, though, there's just a tone to him. There's just, it sounds like everyday talk, but it's presented in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That's
true. I get it.
Just at a classier level. Maybe that's not the right word. But,
more knowledgeable?
No, just a different, I don't know. Because it's
it's got a touch to it.
Yeah. You have to watch.
It's got a touch.
Watch the show. And then
Classy's not the word I would use, but it's got a touch.
it's just different.
It is.
Maybe
It's refreshing.
classic.
And then Eli Drake, I thought was amazing, and I think he is going to be probably one of the faces of their company besides Nick. I just think he's great.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great show. It was only an hour long, but it was an outstanding
And it
show.
flew by.
Yeah.
The production and everything, and I got a kick out of the wrestling school that that sponsored that segment or the show itself. Do you remember I forget his name. Gosh.
I don't remember the name of the guy, the wrestler.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna drive me crazy. It was just cool. It gave you that like old timey feel.
It did. It had, and that's why I said it had a very classic,
But I mean,
retro feel.
I was gonna say it's actually set up to look
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
more 80s or 70s
Yeah.
than it is, that early 90s studio show.
Very much an old school feel to it. But no, I think that AEW hit the nail on the head with the way they're doing that, and I think they just need to keep it up.
You mean it?
NWA.
Sorry, NWA, not AEW.
All right, I was trying to catch up.
NWA hit
just
the.
going back to
That's what I thought. I was like,
They hit the nail on the head with the way that they did that. They just need to keep that same process up,
for sure.
because it's going to work out well for them in the long run.
I can see them staying the course with it.
Yeah. So that moves us on to, for me, what was the most exciting night since last week's show.
Of any of this.
Of
any of this.
I just want to say that, of course, I'm talking about the premiere of Smackdown on Fox, and everything about that show was incredible.
Yeah.
That show reminded me that WWE still has the ability to wow the audience.
That set is amazing.
They still have the ability to wow
huge.
the audience.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's just remarkable. I think it is probably my favorite wrestling entrance now. Like the set of it,
Yeah.
is probably the favorite one that I've ever seen.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of the old SmackDown set.
A little
The one
bit,
that had
the original one. Yeah,
With like the ring.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Rings.
Rings.
Not wings.
Not wings.
Not wings.
Got it.
Rings with an R. But it just it was an incredible show, and of course they kicked it off in all the right ways. And I believe, Nico, do we have a highlight reel? We do. So we're going to take a minute and kind of watch this couple minutes of the highlight reel from this past Friday of SmackDown's premiere on Fox.
Goosebumps. We could have left that out. I love Otis.
This match went the only way it could have gone.
Yeah.
Dominic. Oh my God, it is! It is Velasquez! Dominic takedown! Velasquez down! And the right suplex to the face! Lesnar trying to get away! Lesnar trying to retreat! Lesnar has a big problem. And his name is Cain Velasquez.
So, I kind of got goosebumps now just rewatching the highlights from it. Thoughts, initial reactions of this past Friday.
Perfect.
That's what I was gonna say.
Couldn't have said it any better.
Even if you go back to before they even went through the entrance video and you had Vince and Stephanie come out and make the introduction, everything about what they did on Friday night makes me still believe that WWE has the ability to entertain.
Well, and that's kind of, I guess, where I get to with AEW and all these other people who are coming at WWE now. You got Master P in the mix. I don't know where the hell that came from. But,
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
I mean, House of Glory. Has anybody noticed their logo just says hog?
Yeah,
Right.
that was actually the first thing I noticed.
Like, I don't even know where that came from, so we're not even going to go any further. But everybody else is just so damn far away. They're just, the years of experience and ownership are not there. You know, obviously Cody and Kenny and Chris and all these guys have been doing this for their entire lives, but they're just so far away from where WWE is. Mm-hmm. Like, I truly don't think it's a competition. If they want it to be one, I don't think it is one. I think if AEW decides to stay in their lane, they'll be okay. But like you said, Friday night just goes to show that when they want to step it up to an untouchable level, that they can do it at any time.
and that's the key thing when they want to.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't wanted to. They haven't needed to.
They haven't had to, right?
Right.
For 20 some odd years.
Right. That's the key. But the whole presentation, it was amazing to see how much they fit in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Insane.
It felt like it was longer than Raw with
Yeah.
how much they fit in
right.
there.
Because
But-
if you go back and think everything that happened on SmackDown, I was like, jeez. Like,
Yeah.
Because the tag team match was a
Yeah.
great match.
And there's no question now, and there should not be a question in anybody's mind of what the new A show is in
Oh.
WWE.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
not even.
yeah.
So, you know, I start thinking about now, Rollins is still carrying the Universal title. Is he going to be, I never thought I'd say it, is he going to be stuck on Raw while everybody else is over here on SmackDown killing it? Because this past Monday night, Raw, I won't say it was terrible, but it was just,
Well, but so the only thing I would caution folks with there is think about how much the landscape could potentially change between Friday night, tomorrow night, and Monday.
Yeah.
So last week really was just a show filler.
yeah.
It was this is our last show before the draft. We've just got to put something together here that isn't complete crap.
Talking about Monday night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that can get us through the 3 hours of programming, and then we'll figure the rest of this out later.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul Heyman is going to allow his show, being the B-brand show, to be considered a B-brand show. I mean, he's going to want that program to still drive the same numbers that it drove. My curiosity here is once we get 30, 60, 90 days into this, and we've got, you know, even at 6 months, what do the ratings look like? Do they shift? Does SmackDown take the lead? Because we saw that when they did the brand separation a couple years ago. SmackDown took the lead for about 2.5 months, and then Raw took it back. But I think there's real potential now, and I think this has everything in the world to do with Fox and the money that they're throwing at this.
I was going to say, I think there's 1.6 billion reasons
Yeah.
why Fox remains the A show.
Yeah, it's... as far as what WWE considers the A show, I agree with you 100%. I'm just curious to see how the fans respond.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean,
Friday
as
night's a
fan,
tough spot for you to put professional
But
wrestling.
it depends on who goes.
That's true, but I'm saying that that's still a tough spot.
Yeah.
because
So-
it's the start of the weekend. A lot of people want to go out Friday.
However, the other question is do we see the demographics change? So does Fox go edgier with their product?
I think they do. I mean,
Does Fox go edgier with their product? Perhaps maybe PG-13 instead of the or just standard PG rating, to give WWE a little bit more creative freedom to continue to cater towards the older crowd. Because I hate to tell you, The Fiend is not a character for children.
But
No.
can you do that? Have one show rated
Oh
a
yeah,
different
you can.
show?
Yeah.
well, they're completely
And the
different
same
networks, so now you can.
Yeah. So the only thing that has to be different is the actual product. So I mean, they could change it by week if they wanted to. The only thing that you have to do is make sure that you're in compliance with whatever the rating is for that particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be curious to see
Kind of like us.
what this looks like. Yeah, long term. I don't know that any of us have an answer for it.
It's just going to take time. It's like we said with AEW leading up to their
Yeah.
first show. One or two shows is not going to decide if there's a power shift.
No,
It's gonna,
no.
and it's not going to be 1 or 2 months that are going to decide if there's a power shift. It's going to be 6 months, 8 months, 12 months before we can really sit here and have this conversation and say, "I'll be damned, they did it."
Well, that, and as a fan, everybody, like, as just an everyday fan watching it for years, you're used to Raw being the main show to watch. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to. There's some folks that's gonna be weird to see him on Friday night, actually, because I'm just not used to seeing it.
Brock Lesnar, one of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised he even agreed to work Friday nights. I'd love to see the amount of money that they paid him for him to work Friday nights.
Well,
But, you know-
let's see how many Friday nights he
That's
works.
fair, but let's also talk about the fact that people ribbed him for being a part timer for so long over the past several years since he came back in 2013. He's been there more since he announced his official UFC retirement than he has probably in the past 3 years collectively.
And that probably played a bigger role than any of us gave credit to and
Sure.
attention to. Because honestly, like, I knew, he's at that point he was going back and forth, but I didn't really put into consideration the amount of training and time and effort that it puts into
takes-
training for
yeah.
one fight.
Yeah.
So he literally has to dedicate
6 to 9 months for
Right.
one fight.
Right. So if he's focusing on that, he can't be worrying about what he's doing in WWE, or if he gets hurt in WWE or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that obviously plays a bigger role than we probably gave credit to as a collective.
Sure,
not us,
sure,
but
yeah, sure.
fans.
And I'm sure that's the truth. But you go back and you watch that clip from Friday night, and the fans still pop for him when he comes
Oh
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And even when he caught Kofi, and again, that match went the only way it could have gone. Because there was no way to make Kofi winning that match believable.
But
Period.
they could have at least given him, maybe have him go for a Trouble in Paradise. He missed, get a few suplexes, and then F5.
Have you
Maybe make it a 2-minute match. Give him something.
I still don't see that.
Just, I don't know.
I don't think this was not a crap on Kofi moment. That's not what
I'm
this
not saying it was, but
This was
But I feel like that's the way a lot of people.
They perceived it that way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't. Like, for me, we had talked about on this show that I thought weeks ago that the Kofi thing had run its course.
Yeah.
That it was time.
It was,
I felt that way in the last Randy Orton Kofi match that we saw, that it was time for Kofi to... Even if you had put the belt on Randy, I would have been okay with that feud continuing as long as the belt came off of Kofi. But let's be real. If again, I think that Fox's money has everything to do with this. Fox probably went to WWE and said, not only do we want Lesnar, but we want the belt on Lesnar.
Which is fine. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But I just would have at least given him a minute.
I think Kofi lands on. I think they may split the New Day up in the draft,
I'd be okay with that.
and I think it's okay.
It's
I'm
time.
okay with it. I think they may split the New Day up in the draft, and I think Kofi will go on to enjoy a better singles career
than he ever did before.
and I can see him at some point on Raw with the Universal title. And
could see
I'm
him
not
with
saying
the-
within the next year even, but at some point.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to get a big money fight with Lesnar soon. We all know who it's going to be against now.
Well, yeah, we know, but we know where it's going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I just think that It's going to be interesting. SmackDown was just a phenomenal show. All of it was. The Rock coming out, that being the show that was named after his catchphrase. It's so weird to think that I can remember watching the first ever episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember that. And now here it is watching it, what it's become.
Well, a Friday night was one of those moments that remind you it was so good and so well done and so perfect. It reminds you of why we love doing what we do and love doing what we're going to be doing. And it kind of makes all the moments that we bitch and moan about go away.
Well, and I think, too, what we got Friday night was, and I questioned this myself, was, has WWE become complacent on USA? USA was going to keep renewing their contract no matter what. Because they like the money that WWE's programs bring them. So did they get complacent?
Could.
On USA, and when they came to Fox, Fox went, all right, well, that crap that you're doing over there, we're not going to lose in ratings to
anybody.
USA.
Yeah.
So SmackDown better beat them. Which is interesting because now you have a company competing with itself.
And it kind of reminds me of the point I was going to make earlier about the draft, because at least this time, even if it's predictable or whatever, at least this time there's a spin on it. There's actual rules, and it's believable because now you have Fox wanting the best wrestlers on SmackDown and USA wanting the best on Raw, if that's how they're really going to position it. And
well, now you're being
everyone.
drafted to a network.
But not only that, it gives you a reason to be drafted to a show.
Right.
Like, a true reason. Fox wants the Fiend because he's the most popular thing going right now. So it gives you more of a reason, not just like two fake GMs like, oh, I want you on Raw. Like, when it really doesn't matter. But at least now it kind of gives you more of a reason. Okay, that kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious to see how they do it. Like, who's going to make the choices? Is it just going to be like, it's going to spin on the screen and then just randomly...
I'm thinking we get back... Do you remember when they did the draft in Richmond that year that we were there and John Cena made fun of Sheamus's ketchup-colored haircut?
They drafted Edge.
And they Raw drafted Edge. But if you remember back to that draft, that what you just said is exactly what they did. The draft logo would pop up, and then you would just see superstars' images flying through.
Exactly.
And then the image would pop up, and it would have the banner around it as to whatever show they were being drafted to.
I remember that.
Right. So with there being no authority figures, are they going to have Paul Heyman come out and represent Raw and Eric Bischoff represent SmackDown? Or are they just going to do the random thing? Like, because Shane's fired now, too, technically. And you just have Stephanie.
I think there's a high chance we see Eric Bischoff tomorrow night.
I would be all for it. I would love it.
And that crowd, if his music hits, that crowd will explode.
Jealous.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Because the secret is out. Everybody knows that's his show.
Yeah, they promoted it themselves. They put it.
And if you think about the fact that this is branded as a network-based draft, Eric Bischoff, right? Eric Bischoff is the guy that they brought in to handle this whole Fox thing.
Right.
So I can't think of anybody better to put on television.
And he doesn't even have to be a character. He can show up tomorrow, make
just
his
be
choices,
himself,
and then go away and fade away.
Maybe rarely appear if there is like a faulty finish or something that needs to be addressed immediately or something like
You'll
that.
Probably see him You'll probably see him in backstage segments more than anything else.
And it doesn't have to be every week. Like
how it used.
Well, I feel like if Heyman wasn't with Lesnar, you would rarely see Paul Heyman.
Probably.
I feel like you would
even in ECW when he was running ECW, you very rarely saw him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He'd come out at the beginning. Maybe come out.
You good? What time is it?
Yeah, it's time. That's my bedtime. Maybe come out mid card and he would cut like a promo, but then that was it. You didn't see him all the time. So, what are your thoughts? We're going to go back to my favorite thing to do. One word.
We struggle with this.
We do.
We struggle with this.
I do, and that's what makes it fun. But we're going to go one word, and I want your one word initial reactions on Lesnar Velasquez.
I was expecting you to say that one.
Excited.
Okay.
Meh.
Okay.
Curious.
Yeah.
Okay. My one word.
That's already more than one.
See, it's hard.
Potential.
Okay.
And here's why. Those are two guys that know each other well enough and have the ability to go in there and put on a fight
Yeah.
like nobody else in the WWE.
And hug it out when they're done.
Because the paycheck that they're getting from it,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Didn't Velasquez sign on for 4?
4 fights.
4 fights.
He has 4 matches
Oh,
on his
did?
contract.
Yeah, he signed on for 4.
4 matches on his contract for like
Cha-ching.
$18 million.
That's so crazy.
And then he's going to retire, and we'll never see him again.
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
I did see something the other day, though, that Vince was a little disappointed in his physique when he showed up the other night.
I'm sure he was.
Vince was
Well,
not
I mean,
thrilled.
Vince is a guy that we all know. Vince is a guy that likes the chiseled guys
Well, he
as
wants his
his
fighters to
focal
look
points.
like Brock.
Yeah.
He wants every
Right.
fighter. If they're
Brock
gonna be
is
a good
exactly what
fighter-
Vince
He's
wants.
100%,
Right.
yeah.
Right. That he wants as many Brocks as he can get.
Yeah.
Can get.
And I got to tell you, WWE pulled out all the cards on this because the Velasquez news didn't start leaking until like late Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they held that one close to the vest. And then it was, okay, well, there's a potential for the because I had actually sent you guys that message of the Dominique, the whole reason for him attacking Ray and Dominique was to tie in Velasquez for his Mexican heritage. Yes.
I love you, but it's Dominic.
I was
It is Dominic, you're right. What was I calling him?
Dominique.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's that
I
place
just-
that's got great subs outside of a very strange home improvement retailer. But
What?
I have
The-
no idea.
do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I know what
Okay,
you're talking
all right.
about.
So,
Do you?
No idea.
So Dominique's Sandwich Shop,
Outside of
Is it?
again, a home improvement retailer.
Yeah, I think I got it.
It's a white cart.
Is
Rhymes
that?
with hose.
But is that?
Couldn't I say that? Is that a big word? If we could say
Yes.
It's not a banned word.
Yes. Just didn't see that one coming.
No.
no,
Didn't see that coming. Is that Dominique's though?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would know.
I'm gonna have to go by that store that runs with hose tomorrow just to see.
So,
it's actually pretty good.
I think that there's just so much potential there for that to be a blockbuster fight. That's the big money fight I was talking about that we're going to get.
Yeah.
I think there's a ton of potential there. What it actually ends up looking like, I don't know. I'm imagining that it's going to be another Goldberg-Lesnar style fight, where it's going to be a slugfest.
It's gonna have to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I was wondering how, because you can't let them just go free for all in there, or
Sure
can you?
Why not?
I mean, you can.
But then, if you let these two guys do it, if you have other fighters, legit fighters on your roster,
How many other legit fighters though would get the opportunity to be in there with another legit fighter? 'Cause
I can-
zero interested in seeing Conor McGregor in a WWE. Kind of been a Lesnar guy.
yeah, I like.
He's
Lesnar.
never been probably in my top 5. But I mean, let's go back to let's kind of tie this in what we're talking about. We knew when he was coming out at WrestleMania. We knew he was coming right then and there. And when his music hit, what did every one of us do, and what did everybody else in that stadium do?
Yeah.
Everybody was on their feet. No more asses in seats. Everybody were on their feet, yelling, screaming for Brock Lesnar's music. Maybe not for him, but
One of the few guys that his music has never changed.
Never.
It's still the same as it was.
I don't think you can change his music though.
not now.
No,
It's
but
too
I
late
mean,
now.
you
No.
you look at what we get with Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar probably, and tell me if I'm wrong. You tell me I'm wrong. But for me, Brock Lesnar is the most consistent performer
Well,
that
I mean,
WWE has had in the past 5 years.
I think it would be hard to argue that point.
And what I mean by that is when Brock comes out, you know exactly what you're going to get. His matches are always the same, but he still finds it a way to make it entertaining. It was cool to me the way he just snatched Kofi out of the air like he wasn't nothing. I mean, just nothing. And let's be real. There was no way they were going to let Brock Lesnar German suplex Kofi Kingston because he'd have ended up in the third round.
Or hurt. Or injured, honestly.
Right, yeah. Because look at how he's just throwing around the likes of Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. I mean, he throws those guys. Ask Roman Reigns. There was an interview that he did over a year ago.
I love this.
When they said, well, do you have to help Brock? And he said, no, Brock's just going to throw you. Because you don't have to jump. He's going to throw you. He's a big boy. If Brock wants you to go somewhere, you're going to go.
You go.
And so, imagine what that would have looked like for poor Kofi Kingston.
It would have looked like Smokey Z getting Bach Roddomed on a vape.
Exactly.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
Probably a lot worse.
Yeah,
Wrestle. Oh, it would have been a whole lot worse.
So, it is... I think that, again, I think that match went exactly how it should have gone. The only way that I could have seen that differently would have been if he had gone for a Trouble in Paradise. It would have been something where he would have just bounced off of Brock. Like, Brock just would have stood there, took it, and then been like, all right, come on, get up.
Yeah.
Because that move isn't believable to take. If Braun Strowman can't shoulder tackle Lesnar and cause him to do anything more than drop to one knee, what in the hell is Trouble in Paradise going to do?
Kofi should have actually made any type of like damage or like knocked him down or anything. I'm just saying, like, at least let him do something else besides just jump on him.
Well, what else was he going to do if he wasn't going to cause any damage?
There's
though?
nothing he can.
No, like, go for a
do.
Trouble in Paradise. Have Brock like either
Catch him out of the air?
No, like either have him connect and then Brock kick out or something like
Well,
that.
but that's
or
not
even
believable.
get down for a pinfall.
But if
why is it
but
not
if he
believable
knocks
for
him
Kofi,
down,
but everyone else, like your Daniel Bryan's, your AJ's, your Seth Rollins, like why is it not?
So
believable
go back.
for Kofi?
Hold on. Go back to your Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles matches with Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
So in the AJ Styles match, it was over 5 minutes into the match before AJ Styles got Lesnar off his feet.
And I'm not saying, well, that's fine, but just have Kofi do something else.
So, but Kofi's even smaller than him. I mean, half his chest is missing.
Rich, they got it wrong in your shirt.
So, what? Oh, yep. Oh, you are wearing a 35 shirt.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Was he got,
anyways,
he's got a full chest on there?
Yeah.
He does.
Wow. That was overdone a little.
So, it's just, again, I don't disagree with your opinion. I think it went exactly how it should have gone.
Yeah, I mean, again, where I was going with what you were saying was, if you didn't expect him to do any damage, and he gets him on the mat for a pin from a Trouble in Paradise, that would have been doing some damage. So
I'm saying if you allow him to hit him, then with
Right.
the Trouble in Paradise, then at least let him kick out at one or something. I'm not saying obviously he's going to get some type of damage or hit him or something like that, but I'm saying like you can either go that route or have him at least go after, like charge after him, have Brock like duck him, at least hit one suplex, like just something. I don't know. My thing was just do something besides one F5. Because Seth, like everyone has kicked out of multiple F5s. And Kofi goes down on one.
But I saw something the other day, and I don't remember either somebody said it in this group or I saw it, I read it, something that made sense as to one possibility why they went that route. Was you're going to do it anyway. Brock has to look like the most dominant force in WWE.
But he already is.
Here's the thing, though. They had packed so much other stuff into the show that they had to be done at 9:59. They had to be. It's not USA anymore. They can't run 20 minutes over.
No, but the time that they dedicated to Kane coming out, him going in, beating up Brock, and the stare down, they could have given Kofi a minute. Because the stare down lasted
I'm not
longer
saying that
than
you're
it
wrong.
had.
I'm just saying this really does make sense because, like I said,
And it could, if
it's
that's
not
the
USA
thing, but-
anymore. They can't just run over
Well, yeah, and they
15,
haven't,
20 minutes.
Yeah, they haven't been running
Well,
over for quite some time.
And the cinematography that they needed for the Cain Velasquez moment is you want him to have that time.
No, which is but they gave him
Emphasize
what, at
the,
least 5
fear
minutes?
that Brock
The
had.
importance
Because it
of
was
it.
8 minutes out from when Kofi and Brock started.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying, and I'm sure that is probably the opinion of a lot of the folks in the wrestling world. Like I said, a lot of people saw this as a crap on Kofi moment.
Sure. I've seen nothing but negative about it.
I didn't see it
I
that way.
I didn't either. I haven't seen one positive chat room or anything like that. Nobody saying, "Hey, this was a really good idea."
Yeah, I don't know. I think the whole Cain Velasquez thing's got mixed reactions too.
Well, that's why my answer was curious.
Yeah,
because
there's folks that don't understand it, but I truthfully, so here's what I'll tell you. I think the folks that don't understand it are the ones that did not follow Brock in UFC.
no, I get it, and I think it's cool. Where I got my curious answer from is, what do they do with it?
Yeah, one of my buddies says he thinks it's cheesy.
Let's let it be a fight. If it's a fight, no, I get it. I mean, he's coming to defend Ray and Dominic. I get it. It's cool. I'm all about it. I feel like it's one of those things that they could really mess up pretty quick, though, because if you've got him signed to 4 fights, you've got him signed to 4 matches. Who in the hell else can Cain Velasquez face other than Brock Lesnar?
Lashley, Goldberg.
I don't think so.
Doing wrestling matches.
Yeah, I mean he's wrestled.
So he doesn't have to be in an actual fight or against a fighter.
God, where did he wrestle? He wrestled somewhere. Nico.
AAA.
AAA, that's it. He wrestled for AAA. He did an event for them. I remember watching clips of the match. I just couldn't remember who it was for. And he actually looks
did
pretty
very
good.
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
he looks pretty good.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, go watch the YouTube.
I
Hey,
will.
Nico, can you find some clips from Velasquez in AAA?
Probably not a good idea. We've already gone black once because WWE flagged our video.
Oh, again, that's awesome.
That is a bit of dispute during streams. It's back up though.
That means they're watching.
So that would be the second time we've caught WWE's attention.
It's true.
But the easiest thing for that, folks, just for the viewers who were watching, the only thing I'll tell you is that we disputed it the last time WWE pulled a video down, and we won that dispute. I'm not sure how many people can say that they challenged WWE on something and they won. But we know our limitations and what
Ted
we can
Turner
and
can't.
cannot do. He's trying again.
If at first you don't succeed,
Try again.
try again.
But anyways, I think we've talked enough about SmackDown because we could probably sit here and continue to talk about that entire show.
I'd rather talk about that than the next one.
But I do think that we have to do some due diligence here and talk about Hell in a Cell, the only pay-per-view in WWE's recent history that only had 3 matches on the card up until the pre-show. At which point, how many did they
Oh
add?
my god, yeah, it was insane.
They added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches during the pre-show, which I guess that's one way to get people to
Watch the pre-show.
watch the pre-show. But so I'm gonna, because I know how this conversation's gonna go already. We're gonna split it, and I'm gonna ask 2 different questions. So
you're
the
gonna
first,
scale it?
Yeah, scale it, scale it.
Scale it.
So the first question I'm gonna ask is overall ratings, 5-star scale for Hell in a Cell as a pay-per-view, excluding the finish of the Rollins Fiend match. Excluding that part.
I'll give it a 3.
3 stars, Smokey?
3.
That's all I was going to say.
Amen. 3 stars. I would agree with you. 3 stars. For me, that ending tainted the whole pay-per-view, and that's not fair to the other stars on the card. I thought the Bayley-Charlotte match was actually a really good match. The Becky Lynch-Sasha Banks match was an incredible match.
Randy Orton and Ali were pretty good.
Randy Orton and Ali, which I think that should have gone the other way because now they're crapping on Ali.
Yeah.
But you know what? I took from that match was Randy's reaction to Ali
With
after
the
the match.
respect.
Right.
Yeah.
And because I think we even said it that night. Randy doesn't do that.
No.
Randy is not known for liking
And
many
that
people.
reversal out of the RKO,
Yeah.
amazing.
That was
Yeah.
pretty sick.
Amazing.
So, I think overall the show as a whole, the you ready for this? The Kabuki. The Kabuki.
I wasn't sure where we were headed right there. I wasn't sure.
The Kabuki Warriors.
Can you say it? Say it.
So,
Sad. Sad. Sound like Van Damme in the 80s movie. Sad.
so
Okay.
There it was.
Kabuki.
Okay.
Cup.
Them getting the titles, I think, was a not a bad move either.
No.
What'd you think of the Mist?
I'm digging. That's where I was going. I am digging the Mist.
I hear there's going to be different colors,
Oh,
and like
great
there's
Muda.
a black one that she's going to like reveal against Becky. It's supposed to be like more like something.
Well, over time, like Muda had different colors when he did it.
Tajiri was the one that always stuck
Yeah,
with
Tajiri-
her.
He
Jerry
always
was,
stuck with the green.
went green and it was always green. But I mean, Muda, for the most part, it was always green. But every now and then there was a red, and maybe there might have been a black. Here
Yeah.
and there.
I think that there were a couple of matches I didn't have any interest in.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that WWE left a big old pile of steaming, almost flaming
No, it was on fire.
donkey crap
It was on fire.
all over the end of this show.
Yeah.
When it comes to how they ended it, so much so that several WWE superstars and officials have since commented on the ending.
Mm-hmm.
And even those close to what happened backstage was when the crowd reacted the way it did, Vince's initial reaction was laughing it off. And then as it got worse and the AEW chant started and then the refund chant started, Vince... and I can only take this from like the things that I've read from folks that were backstage, but apparently his response to Hunter was, "We f***ed this up," and he accepted responsibility for it.
And I think what also is telling, and would kind of play into that, is what we didn't see on Raw. We didn't
Yeah.
see
Right.
Seth.
No.
We didn't hear any follow-up on the match.
Dude, that would have been such a huge...
Seth would have been booed out
Oh
of the
my God,
building
yeah,
if
it
he
would've
would
been
have
like
shown
Roman
up.
Reigns.
Yeah,
I
he would have been
don't even
booed.
know that The Fiend would have been received well on Monday night. It would have been received better.
I think
So
he
then
came out
Seth-
after Raw went off the air.
He did. I can't stand Dave Meltzer, but Dave Meltzer made a comment that for the one of the very few times that I agree with him, and he said that the only thing that accomplished was people will be now so much more in a hurry to see the belt move to the Fiend
Yeah.
because now they feel like he was cheated out of it.
So what is your biggest complaint about the ending?
Well, one, you don't... how do you get disqualified
Well, it was a
in a Hell in
referee
a Cell?
stoppage, officially.
But they announced it as a
As a DQ.
disqualification.
That night they did.
That night, they announced it as a DQ.
Yes. I don't care about that, though.
Well, damn.
I care about the fact that if you
He
pause,
doesn't care about that.
if you pause and think about all the things we've seen in Hell in a Cell matches, and that was what you stopped the match over. The Undertaker caught a peg from the side of the steel steps in his temple and was bleeding like a stuck
Against
pig.
Brock.
Yeah.
And they let the match go. Foley got put off the cell and through the cell onto thumbtacks, and then another time
He had his
chair in the
tooth.
face.
through the ring. Yeah, and another
Chair in
time
the
through the
face, yeah.
ring. And guess what? They didn't stop the match. Seth Rollins puts a chair, a ladder, in an empty toolbox, and then swings the sledgehammer in a manner that's horizontal, not vertical, and knocks the toolbox off the
Knock
ladder,
the toolbox off.
Right.
and you stop the match. For what?
And the camera angles were so bad during that whole
Yeah.
catastrophe. Before he even got to that point, when it was just the chair.
You could see that it wasn't even on his head anymore.
Right. It was,
It was on his shoulder.
foot
Yeah, he was
away,
holding
right.
it over here. He
You
was
could
holding
see
it on
it.
his
Yeah.
I was like, clear. Okay, obviously he's gonna reposition the chair, and no,
No.
he just. And I'm like, all right, guys, what's going on?
So it was just so poorly done
Yeah,
that
that's the issue that I had. Not the DQ. Well, I guess my biggest issue was the Fiend went through all of that. He should be dead if we're taking it seriously. Should be dead, and with everything that he went through.
just to stand up and shrug it all off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, like we shouldn't have seen him after that. Seth should have been, the referee should have came out, done whatever, stopped the match, however they want to announce it. The lights go out because it was already dark enough.
And then he should have just
and then
disappeared.
he should have disappeared.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I
Gone.
probably would have gotten on board with that if they'd have gotten to a point where, they're getting ready to put him on the backboard, the lights go out,
And he's gone.
and then the
Right.
lights come back
Right.
on, and
Right.
they're all sitting there, but no Fiend.
That was my biggest
And I probably
issue.
would have been, okay, I can get on board
It
with
would have
this.
been.
It was a BS finish, but
Of
it,
luck.
It would have been the best way for
figured-
you to save it
Right,
at
because
that
we
point.
knew all going into it that he probably wasn't going to win. We just didn't know how it was going to play
Right.
out. And obviously, it was the worst way possible.
Yeah, I just think that...
But it just made no sense.
Right.
It made no sense at all.
I think
Because now,
that
how
it's...
do you beat the Fiend then? How does he lose 1, 2, 3? Like taking any regular finisher going forward.
Well, yeah, you made him look indestructible, which is
Right,
good.
which is fine. But now, like the measures that Seth had to go to get to that point, like
And then you still didn't get it done.
right. Like how does anyone ever
So-
beat the Fiend now?
Here's what I think, and this is the only way this makes sense long term, is clearly I don't think the Fiend Rollins thing is over yet, depending on what the draft looks like.
Right.
Did you see the match that they announced for tomorrow? Seth versus Roman.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the Fiend comes out.
So I don't think that that's done yet. However, there was an interesting point made by one of the guys from Fox Sports who said, what happens if SmackDown drafts The Fiend, but Raw drafts Bray Wyatt?
See, I'm digging that.
Because they're two different characters.
Didn't really think about that, but I'm digging that.
And so what happened right here just then was the same thing that happened on FS1.
Everybody got quiet.
Is everybody was like, well, I didn't think about that.
How?
Because they're two different characters. Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse is not.
And I guess you
The
could get
Fiend.
away with
Yeah,
it
but
because
you don't see Bray Wyatt. Just
We haven't
regular
seen,
Bray
But you-
Wyatt.
but we
But
haven't
that's the
seen
beauty
him
of it.
yet.
And you don't even
don't
need
need
to ever
to.
see him. You could still play his.
It's
clip
just
on Raw
Firefly
and have
Funhouse
the
on
Fiend
Raw.
attack people on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be cool.
It's interesting
That would be
because you would never see them together anyway.
No,
Obviously.
but
obviously.
I think that there's a potential here. So what I think happens is I think Cain Velasquez challenges Lesnar for the WWE title. He'll lose. Lesnar will retain.
Yeah.
So then what's Lesnar going to do for the Rumble? Who knows?
What if Lesnar doesn't lose or doesn't win though?
Well, that might be why Cain Velasquez has got 4 fights.
It would only be by DQ. I think.
I can tell you a whole lot of people would be pissed off if Cain Velasquez comes in and wins the title on his first match in the company.
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I've seen stranger things happen, but it's possible.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
If
So-
they want to take it the same kind of route that
He took
the
the belt
UFC
off of
had
Lesnar in UFC.
in UFC, and Lesnar won the belt in UFC after 4 fights.
He beat this out of.
No,
Lesnar in the
Lesnar's
UFC,
face was
though.
all kind of bloody. All kind of bloody.
Anytime you see that promo, any promos with him, and you
That
see
scar.
that scar underneath his
That's
eye.
from Cain
That's
Velasquez.
where it came from.
Yep.
But no, I mean, so I think that we're going to get a very interesting Royal Rumble season. One of the other things that I've thought about is what happens when you get to the 30th man in the Royal Rumble, and that 30th man is The Fiend.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Now,
What if Bray comes out at number 1 or 2?
does Lesnar hold
Fiend
the,
at 30?
does Lesnar hold the title? Because think about the picture they're painting for The Fiend. Does Lesnar hold the title till WrestleMania? He defends the WWE title at WrestleMania against The Fiend. A guy that's always been billed as unbeatable versus a guy that's now being billed as unbeatable.
Or just indestructible.
And how cool would it be to watch Lesnar F5 The Fiend and watch The Fiend just pop right back up?
No,
I'm
I mean,
just trying to picture Lesnar's like facial reactions and his expressions to the
Because
Fiend.
if
And, like,
he
having to
likes
sell
it,
for the
right,
Fiend.
if he likes it though, when Lesnar likes it,
Yeah.
he'll sell like a
Well, that's the
champ.
thing. That's
well, think back to Friday when Velasquez came out. He sold just
Right.
fear, shock,
The
and
whole
all.
thing
Right.
he sold.
Right.
He sold the
He did
hell
a
out of
fabulous
that.
job.
Yeah, he did.
Fabulous job.
So, like the moment that he saw and realized that was Cain Velasquez, you saw the whole facial expression change.
Yeah.
Jaw drop, eyes
Oh
wide
no, it
open.
was great. It
So-
was great.
You know, and that again just goes to show you the guy's got talent that's unmatched when he wants to use it. But I mean, who knows? I don't know what this.
But
is gonna
that
look
also
like.
sounds like Randy Orton, though.
That's true.
Yeah, he's got talent for days and days if he decides that
don't-
you're worthy enough.
I don't know what this is going to look like as time goes on. I think it really just depends. A lot of it depends on the draft and what we get after the draft. But I think that it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the landscape looks like. Because I don't think we really know what to expect out of the Fiend.
No.
You don't know what you're going to get.
I don't know.
I could also see them doing a thing with the Royal Rumble where the Fiend, much like the Austin 316 days, so as these folks announce that they're going to be in the Royal Rumble, he just starts showing up on Raw and SmackDown and picks them off. Like Austin did when the whole beeper, when your beeper reads 316, your ass belongs to me. The same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Beeper.
There's so many things.
You got it. Not getting a sig on my beeper.
So there's so many things that they could do with this that would be cool. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. So
It's there.
It is.
The potential's there.
on that same note,
Just got to get there.
rumor has it that Sasha Banks was injured during her match with Becky Lynch, and also that the Fiend sustained a concussion.
Well, I mean, he should have.
That's a good thing they stopped that match.
Right.
That-
Was it that chair shot?
Which one?
What chair shot?
The one on his shoulder?
The one where he stood over top of him?
He did crack him in the head with a chair.
That's
He
true.
did do that. He did do that.
But both of those folks are apparently injured. That's why that WWE's explanation was that's why you did not see him on Monday is because he was injured. However, again, he showed up after the show went off the air.
He wasn't injured anymore.
And then he
Oh,
also,
that's
and then
it.
he
The Fiend
also,
took over.
yeah.
It was kind of like the finish of the match. He was incapacitated.
But
Then the match ended, and then he
it was
wasn't
like-
my problem
incapacitated
is-
anymore.
My whole problem,
Asbestos.
Yeah.
my whole problem with like that is that if the Fiend and Rollins don't end up on the same show, then you've kind of wasted a feud now. Because you clearly have one developed.
This is one that they need to redeem.
Yes.
themselves on.
Like they
No,
need
they
One
do.
that they can't.
it
just
needs a
forget.
finish.
Yeah, they need to.
One way or another, it needs a finish.
Yeah.
Maybe the finish is at TLC,
When is that? December.
December. Or maybe the finish is at Survivor Series. So,
Either way, it's got to happen.
yeah.
Either way, it has to happen.
We know we're going to see the Fiend in some form or fashion at Crown Jewel. But who knows? I can't think of a better place to be for the Fiend other than a show that's wrapped around blood money.
I've been waiting on that
that
one.
was-
I've been waiting
But-
on that one since we flipped over to WWE.
But, that kind of is what it is. We got review of Monday Night Raw in here, but I think we kind of beat it up throughout the
Yeah.
night
Yeah.
with different comments.
Well, I mean, there's really not a lot to review.
No.
Tyson Fury.
But
In
how do
my
you feel about
opinion-
that?
I thought it got ridiculous.
They're trying to recreate they tried to recreate the Austin Tyson moment.
Or the Big Show.
Well, even the
Mayweather.
Big Show Mayweather, that wasn't as good as the Tyson
Well, he got
Austin.
a shot in.
Well, I think that's just because it was Mike Tyson.
It could be,
I mean,
but Tyson Fury. I mean,
Fury, Mike Tyson.
I think we're definitely going to get a match somewhere out of this. I don't know how I feel about
I
it.
actually didn't really mind the spot on Monday. I mean, you already knew what was coming.
Sure.
So
Well, I just think they
if you
drug
went
it out
into it
way too
expecting
long.
anything different, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But, I mean, I don't know.
We'll see.
I thought it was cool because Braun actually, obviously wasn't, but actually genuinely looked pissed and all sorts of worked up and fired up. And you could see as, the different scrums were going on, you could see Tyson Fury actually kind of get into it. Which that was kind of cool to see him kind of.
Yeah, but they got to be careful about that. Floyd Mayweather got into it, popped Big Show in the mouth, and then had to run like a scared dog.
Yeah, because
Big Show was pissed.
he actually punched him in the face.
And I hate to tell
Did
you,
he break
but
his nose?
didn't break his nose, but he
Oh.
busted his lip open.
Oh, okay.
No, I think it wasn't
I
it?
think he
It
broke
was
his
really
nose.
bleeding.
I don't think he
There
broke
was
his nose,
blood.
but I know his
He
nose is
bu-
bleeding.
but that's one of those moments where I hate to tell you, if you're Floyd Mayweather, if that big dude gets his hands on you,
You did.
if you've seen what Brock has done to people,
Yeah.
Big Show ain't no easy way.
Nope.
So that would not have ended well for him either. But Next thing on our list is the status of the wrestling world, and all I want to talk about here is take 2 or 3 minutes and just talk about how do we feel about the wrestling industry right now with WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, NWA. Hog is coming by Master Please Don't Try, and but he's trying to put some focus and emphasis behind it now, and he says he's going to go after WWE.
Have you seen the sneakers?
Yes.
It's not going to do well.
So,
No, it's not going to work.
I mean, just what are your thoughts? How do you feel about the wrestling industry?
I think it's an exciting time. I mean, I've seen it and heard it
There's just
and
a
said
lot going on.
it several times. There's a lot going on right now, and I think it's just a really great time to be a wrestling fan. If you just sit back, relax, and just enjoy it. You know, we do this show, and we do pick some things apart. But I think when you sit back and actually watch the shows, just sit back and enjoy the damn show. Don't try to pick apart every single move that they're doing or every single promo that you hear. You know, try to just watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, yeah, we do this and we pick it apart. But while it's happening, enjoy it live.
Well, and I told you guys last week with AEW, I took my critic hat off and decided I just wanted to watch it as a fan. And that made the world a difference for me. Instead of trying to pick it up. Because I find what I do when I have that critic hat on is I'm looking for everything that I don't like. And then I just build it. And I didn't give them credit for the fact that they're still figuring out who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are.
Well, and I think a lot of that had to do with, you know, Kenny Omega's comments when he came out and just...
Well, I just...
As long as they don't have another Cracker Barrel match, I think we're good.
What? Sweet Jesus. Tiny. 8 pound. 6 ounce.
Jimmy Havoc's a worker, maybe.
So, and there's still some things about AEW that I think are awful, but I think that you've got to do something about your commentary team because Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and Jim Ross do not mesh well together.
Who would you take out?
JR actually seemed like he was more into it this week than he was last week.
Honestly,
I agree.
I think that if you moved, it has to be one of two, and it has to either be Excalibur or JR that have to go. And the reason why I would tell you one of them, and probably, if I were to pick one, JR. JR needs to go. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is he does not seem to have the passion that he used to have.
Agreed.
And I also think that's because in WWE he was a play-by-play. He's not a play-by-play for AEW. He's a color commentator. So in WWE, he was the play-by-play, King was the color commentator. And that worked. But in AEW, they're asking him to be the color commentator. Well, that's not what JR's good at. JR's good at the play-by-play. But that's what they're using Tony Schiavone and Excalibur for, is play-by-play. And he's the color commentator. He's the guy that's supposed to be adding the analyst side of it. So that's... I think he's the one that needs to go. And it hurts me to say that because I'll think the world of JR. But I think his time has come and gone. And if I had not listened to Tony Schiavone last night and last week, I probably would have told you the same thing about him. But he doesn't seem like he's lost a step.
From the first, I think I saw maybe 40 minutes of the show, just hearing him, you just get excited. The energy in his voice.
Schiavone?
I think him and Excalibur are a perfect combo.
The only thing I wish that Schiavone would stop doing is in almost every single match, he references and compares things to WCW.
Yeah.
In almost every match, there is some sort, and I get it, I do, but WCW's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
In fact, WCW, if you really want to think about it, belongs
it's
to
your
WWE.
Right, so you're putting over your competition.
Exactly. So I feel like that's the only thing for me. I think Schiavone, I agree with everything you guys said about JR. I think his passion's gone.
Let him be the producer. Let him be the one back there, like giving them
But I
tips
think
and stuff.
Let him work
Schiavone just keeps
backstage
on
with
referencing
Dustin.
WCW so much.
Yeah.
So, All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our wrestling conversation for the evening. And we're going to move on to what has become one of my favorite segments of the show each week, and that is the Poke the Bear segment. I do have questions from around the country this week, 4 questions. I'll start with myself this time. My question is from Michael in Orlando, Florida. What is the one moment in wrestling that still gives you goosebumps every time? And I will tell you that the one moment that no matter how many times I try or I rewatch it, but even to this day, WrestleMania 30, Hogan and Austin are standing in the ring and The Rock's music hits. And from the time The Rock's music hits to the time that he gets in the ring and that whole segment is finished, I have goosebumps the whole time. Because there has never been a more true moment than when those 3 guys are in the ring and JBL goes, the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling has come to life.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's ever been a more true statement than when those 3 guys are in the ring, because that was the first and the last time that that's ever happened.
Yeah.
So for me, that is the one moment in wrestling that to this day still gives me goosebumps every single time I watch it.
I feel like we saw that together.
We did. Actually, you were late, so that's not a surprise, but
Shocker.
she was there for that WrestleMania.
You were.
Yeah,
That's right.
because that was one where Taker lost, and
Yeah.
you were there. So
That was also the first moment ever that we were all speechless at the
yeah,
exact
it was just
same
silence.
time.
Because it all caught.
Nobody had a word to say.
Mid-conversation.
we heard the bell, and it was like,
And everybody just stops.
I was
Freezes.
getting a drink out of your kitchen. I heard the bell. I was like, wait, what? And I ran back in, and it was over.
Yeah.
Happened.
yeah, we were in shock with the rest of the wrestling world.
Well, we won't talk about that part.
No.
All right, so we're going to move on. The next question goes to A-Man. And this is from Chris Farlow in Indianapolis.
Cool.
If you could let...
Wait.
Hold on.
Wait.
Hold on.
As your production manager, I have to say.
You didn't read
Wait a
in
minute, hold on.
advance?
No, hold on. I read the question, and when I picked it, it was fine, because I knew what they meant, but then when I reread it...
Actually, I don't know.
So,
wow.
I want to close my eyes because I can't look at y'all.
No. Oh, God.
I want you to hear this question and think through it.
Help. I'm nervous, and it's not even my
To
question.
understand what the actual question is. But Chris Farlow from Indianapolis wants to know, if you could let one superstar finish you, who would it be?
Jesus.
Look, I think I know what the question means.
We all know what the question means. It just sounds bad.
It's just worded
It sounds
probably not.
Shut up, Nico.
Look, there has to be one antagonist, and it's him.
So let's reframe that
I
question.
didn't have the microphone.
If you could let one wrestler hit you with their finishing maneuver, what would it be? Who? And what's the move?
And it sucks because what I want to say is going to
please
be...
say nephew.
No.
I was going to say, does it have to be 1 or can it be 2? So it sounds even worse.
You're canceled.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to...
I guess it doesn't have to be one. Who would it be?
I wanted to... It would be the 3D.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, like, this is...
It hurts. It hurts. You keep escalating it. Oh, God.
I was adding a question there. Would it be a 6-person tag or what?
Just yell out, testify. Give it a 3D.
As long as you don't submit, right?
I don't know, and I think that's acceptable sometimes.
Oh, God. All right. Smokey Z. Your question comes... We're going to save Smokies for last. Double K. Your question comes from Sarah in St. Louis.
I was trying so hard.
What
Focus.
What is your favorite wrestling moment of all time? He's not taking the 3D.
Tried to occupy myself here. His would be 4. His would be 4B, not 3D.
What? Answer your question. Sweet Jesus.
Oh, God.
Your favorite wrestling moment
For
of
some
all
odd
time.
reason, I'm terrified for my question tonight.
You're gonna
Oh, I thought it was his. That's why I was laughing.
No. What is your favorite wrestling moment of all time?
Okay, God, I gotta regroup, man. All right, so who asked me that? From where? I thought it was.
It is from Sarah in St. Louis.
That's my fault. All right.
Apparently,
Man,
you missed
maybe I
the
was
part where he
just-
said he was gonna make my question last.
I got lost in the Sarah part.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, that's that was a kid on the way.
That's
But what is your favorite wrestling moment of
wow.
all time?
All right, let me think. Hold on. Let me run back. And it may very well be your moment.
Yeah.
Actually, it may very well be. I'm just trying to run all the way back through because we all know how I feel about Hogan at this point, and just seeing him out there, even though he was completely confused on where he was that night. You were not in the Silverdome, brother. But just having him out there at WrestleMania 30, Austin coming out, and then like you said, as soon as the Rock's music hit, everybody had goosebumps the entire time, and I can't really remember a time other than maybe the first time I ever saw Hulk Hogan live when I was 7.
That's created that same feeling.
Yeah, because that night I got to see, that was, the Ultimate Warrior's first year in WWF. He was still, that night, he was still wrestling by the name of the Dingo Warrior.
Glad he got rid of that.
I saw Hogan wrestle Savage that night. Steamboat was there. I mean, so, probably, yeah. So I got to see all of those guys when I was 7. And that was the first time I'd ever seen those guys. I'd seen high school shows. I'd seen your Johnny Aces and
Right.
Jim Cornette and Big Bubba. I'd seen all those guys in the high school, but that was my first huge scale. So, but it'd be one of those two moments.
Okay. All right. Smokey Z. Deep breath, brother.
Oh, Lord.
I picked this question for you tonight because I would imagine some of our listeners and viewers are confused. And so this question is to help clarify
Oh, Lord.
the off-color commentary. Smokey Z, Lindsay from Virginia Beach, Virginia. It gets referenced often, so what is your tie to the number 4?
And that's been the episode of Wrestle Rewind.
Not my tie at all. Not my tie at all. It's something.
Careful. Careful.
Not me.
Careful.
So
That's the best way I can answer that.
that's one day, folks. We'll tell you that story. But
You know what? We're in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area from time to time. Maybe that's one of those questions better asked
so
face to face.
I tell you what, Lindsay from Virginia Beach, Virginia. The next time we're going to be down in the Norfolk area, we'll let you know.
because I was there last weekend.
And you can come by whatever show we're going to be at that particular night, and we will give you an opportunity to ask Smokey Z that question to his face.
And I will answer it in its
am
entirety.
More interested just to see how that whole conversation plays out than I am anything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that whole see what had happened.
I'm really sorry that we can't answer that question on this show.
So
I'm not phenomenal.
Well, and I'm sure you're not. So that's going to take us into our final segment of the evening, and that is our weekly trivia. So Double K is now the defending Wrestle Rewind champion. This week he is defending And our questions this week are going to be tied to the Hardcore Championship for the first 10 questions.
No, that's Ashley's favorite championship ever. She's seen every hardcore match there ever was.
Okay.
That's where you're going with that.
Yeah. because for like the last 3 weeks you asked questions. She's like, "Oh, that's my favorite WrestleMania."
Yeah, but that was not where I thought you were going.
Thinking about earlier. So
What happened
I thought you
earlier?
were trying to make from the
Thinking about
question.
Devon finishing you off?
Oh, brother, testify.
Or was that the one where they hit you with Spike Dudley?
Spike Dudley.
Oh,
God!
Who is it? Consequentially, it's Spike Dudley.
Who the hell is Dudley?
He's wrestling with Andre the Jordan.
Is he the good gatekeeper?
Ted DiBiase.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Nobody can help this group, I tell you.
God.
All right, 15 questions. The individual with the most points at the end of the 15 questions wins. First 1 to 8 also wins. Again, the first 10 questions, multiple choice coming from the Hardcore Championship.
He ain't gonna help us.
Question number 1. What superstar introduced the 24/7 rule for the WWE Hardcore Championship by proclaiming he would defend the championship at any time and at all times?
These are not multiple choice.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Ah.
Was it?
It's gonna might take a minute.
Was it Al Snow, Hardcore Holly, Crash Holly, or Taz?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I think that was a tie.
you can go ahead.
Smokey Z.
Crash Holly.
It was Crash Holly.
Check you out.
Smokey's the first one on the
Smokey
board
Z's
today.
got a lead.
Well, that's the first time ever.
That's why I thought it was important to announce it.
Question number 2. Which diva never held the WWE Hardcore Championship? Was it Molly Holly, Terry Runnels, Trish Stratus, Double K?
Damn it. Terry Runnels.
That is incorrect. The 3 remaining options are Molly Holly, Trish Stratus, or Lita.
I got excited. It's my fault.
Lita.
Lita is also correct.
Uh-oh.
Smokey Z with a 2-point
Could
lead
it
now.
be? Could it happen?
Question number 3. Now I think you're premature.
Well, I mean, I
So-
did go a little early on that.
Question number 3. Who briefly renamed the WWE Hardcore Championship to the Texas Hardcore Championship? Was it Bradshaw, Terry Funk, Steve Austin, or Shawn Michaels? Smokey Z.
Bradshaw.
That is also correct. Question number 4. Who held the WWE Hardcore Championship an amazing 27 times?
It's not our truth.
Amen.
Crash.
That is incorrect. The remaining 3 options are Taz, Mankind, or Raven. Double K.
Dang it. Raven?
It was Raven.
Yeah. I hate when you hit the button and then you second guess it
Yep.
immediately, even though you know you're probably right.
Question number 5. The original WWE Hardcore Championship belt was a smashed version of the WWE Championship belt from the time that Hulk Hogan was champion. Who destroyed that belt?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Was it Earthquake, Jake Roberts, Mr. Perfect, or Sergeant Slaughter?
This is good. This may be the best question that's ever been asked
Yeah.
on this show.
Smokey Z.
Jake Roberts.
That is incorrect.
Who were the other 3?
The remaining 3 are Mr. Perfect, Sergeant Slaughter, or Earthquake. Double K.
Mr. Perfect.
It was Mr. Perfect. Question number 6. What WWE Hardcore Champion did Rob Van Dam defeat to unify the championship with the Intercontinental title in August of 2002? Was it Steven Richards, Sean Stasiak, Bradshaw, or Tommy Dreamer?
Who was the first one?
Steven Richards.
Can you repeat them?
Double K.
Steven Richards.
That is incorrect.
Bradshaw.
That is also incorrect. Amen. The remaining two choices are Sean Stasiak or Tommy Dreamer.
Coming up with your first hint. Hold on.
You don't get hints in multiple choice, do you?
Mhm.
Oh, do you? Okay.
The
We
first
just
hint,
usually never get there.
this individual is still an active wrestler. However, he no longer wrestles for WWE, but runs his own...
Dreamer.
Yes,
Tommy
ma'am.
Dreamer.
That
I
is
thought, but
that is
no.
correct.
But did he have? He was the hardcore.
He was the
and then-
hardcore champion.
See, I didn't say. I thought he was the obvious one.
Question number 7. Whom did Undertaker defeat for his one and only WWE Hardcore Championship title? Was it Raven, Rob Van Dam, Maven, or Jeff Hardy? Amen.
Was it Maven?
That is incorrect.
What were the other?
Name the other three again.
Raven, Rob Van Dam, or Jeff Hardy? Double K.
Raven.
That is also incorrect.
Rob Van Dam.
It was Rob Van Dam.
I was
Look
stuck
at
either
Smokey
between
tonight,
Raven
man.
and Rob Van Dam. So when you said Raven, I was like, all right.
Who
well,
was the first 3-time WWE Hardcore Champion? Was it Al Snow, Billy Gunn, Hardcore Holly, or the Big Boss Man?
Ooh.
Smokey Z.
Hardcore Holly?
That is incorrect.
Who were the other three?
Billy Gunn, the Big Boss Man, or Al Snow? Double K.
Al Snow.
That is also incorrect.
Who were the other two?
Billy Gunn
Well, because like
or the Big Boss Man?
if I'm set on something and then someone else says it, I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
you were
what were
going
the
where
other
I-
two?
the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
No, not yet.
Hey, you got to take the chat down because they're answering the questions.
Not right now, but you look at this real quick.
Oh no, I was just trying to see the hint
I
clock.
like this comment right here.
Huh?
Oh, Ashley's top knot is 100.
That's right, girl. But is it my hint now? feel like
No.
it's-
So this individual was a member of the corporate ministry.
Wait, and what were the two choices again?
Billy Gunn or the Big Boss Man?
Oh, Big Boss Man.
That is correct.
Why don't you just tell her the answer was Big Boss Man? Shit, that's like the most obvious hint you've given ever.
Who?
It's a guy in a corner who used to wrestle in WWE.
Who?
He's got black hair.
Shut up. Who at 97 days had the longest hardcore championship title reign? Was it Al Snow, Billy Gunn, Hardcore Holly, or the Big Boss Man? Smokey Z.
Al Snow?
That is incorrect. Amen.
Boss Man?
That is correct.
It was like a Hail Mary right there.
Question Question number 10. Who was the first superstar to win the WWE Hardcore Championship under the 24/7 rule? So Crash Holly introduced the 24/7 rule. Who was the first person to beat him under that rule? Was it Viscera, Funaki, Pete Gas, or Perry Saturn?
Funaki.
That is incorrect. Double K.
Saturn.
That is also incorrect. Viscera and Pete Gas.
Is it Viscera?
That is also incorrect. The correct answer was Pete Gas.
I wish it said what match that was from.
That moves us to question number 11. Smokey with still a 1-point lead.
That's the longest you've ever had a lead, man.
It is.
Who sang the song Stand Back on Pile Driver, the Wrestling Album 2?
Was it Vince?
That is correct.
I knew as soon as she said it, I knew it. Yeah.
Who came out of a gift box and attacked Seth Rollins on an episode of... Amen.
Sting.
Yes.
That is incorrect.
Oh,
Huh?
what?
Triple H?
That is also incorrect.
I'm holding out for a hint.
Don't blame me.
You
Yeah,
got
it's
18
Wasn't
seconds.
Sting?
Sting didn't come out of a gift box.
No, that was
an
when he was
unveiling.
the statue.
That was an
the
unveiling.
statue.
I was 100% thinking that, so I'm glad I kept my mouth shut.
I guess it wasn't a box.
I knew when you said incorrect, I was like, no, because that was when they were supposed to unveil the Seth Rollins statue.
Give me a hint.
So here's your hint. This superstar was in a trio with Seth Rollins at one point in his career.
It's 50-50.
I don't remember it actually happening.
Yes,
Dean Ambrose.
that is correct.
Maybe more so.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't.
Yeah,
And that's what I went with. I was like, which one of the two makes more sense?
Question number 13. Who sang his own entrance song, Grab Them Cakes?
Wow.
That finishing move she's looking for.
Testify, Ashley.
Who sang his own entrance song, Grab Them Cakes?
Grab them cakes.
Can we hear it used in a song, sir? I know you can sing Ed Sheeran, but can you sing Grab Them Cakes?
Really? That's where you're going to go?
100%.
That's where you're going to go?
Wait till we play that video on
No, we're not playing that video.
Nick
Here's your
has
first hint. This WWE superstar is currently, or is a WWE Hall of Famer, and in his entrance, he wore a chain around his neck. Smokey Z.
The Godfather?
That is incorrect.
Junkyard Dog.
It was the Junkyard Dog.
Really?
I didn't know that was the name.
I never knew the name of the song. Yeah.
Question number 14.
I said The
A-Man.
Godfather because it made sense.
A-Man has a 1-point lead over Smokey Z.
It did make
Come back
sense.
to it.
Double K, you need a correct answer here to stay in the game.
Awesome.
Question number 14. How much did Dean Ambrose offer to sell a Sheamus t-shirt for on Raw? I can't give you so many hints for this, but
And it's got to be presidential if you do.
no.
No.
I don't remember.
I mean, I can give you a hint, but it's not going to help you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, just give it then. If it's not
It's
gonna
of a
help.
monetary value.
That's the normal hints I'm used to.
I told you it wasn't going to help you.
Like,
Was it actual money or?
Yes.
Okay.
It was an actual amount.
Okay.
$5.
That is incorrect.
That's what I was gonna say.
Pick a different answer then.
$10.
That's also incorrect.
25 cents.
That is correct.
What?
And Double K stays in the game.
Was that just a random guess?
Kind of, but it was another one of those, I'm trying to make something make sense, and I almost said a penny. And I was
So-
like, screw it, let's just say a quarter.
Here we are, 4-5-4. Smokey Z, Double K, this is your last question for an opportunity to try to tie and go at a man one-on-one.
Hold up. I don't, what? Nope.
Let's just yeah.
What?
Nice double finishes.
Okay. That's not what I meant.
I'm not yelling for Zach to get the damn table.
Okay, here we go. This
Top
is
knot still 100 days.
this is from a recent time. Recent time.
This is
Okay.
the more recent time.
Yes. Who proposed marriage to Rusev on Raw?
Oh,
Oh,
Smokey Z.
I'm really confident with that one.
wow. Went off in his hand.
yeah.
A little premature.
Lana.
That is incorrect. It was
Who'd you
not
say?
Lana.
Oh.
Off in his hand. Wow.
I mean,
It's been in his own face.
yep.
Hey man, we'll tell you that story later.
It's not what you think.
Okay.
It's not.
It's not.
We could
not.
actually tell that on here if we had to.
Yeah.
Please, no.
Where's the hand?
We need a hint.
All right, here's your hint.
I forgot the question.
I got it.
It's who proposed marriage to Rusev on Raw.
All right. Yeah.
It was not Lana.
Okay. Right.
This female superstar is no longer with the WWE.
What? Really?
Really?
That's the hint?
Yeah. I mean,
Do you know how
There's-
many people that could be?
it can't be, but so many. Rusev hasn't been around that long.
One more hint, Tommy T.
Hell, it could
All
even
right,
be
here's your
Mae
final
Young.
hint. This WWE female superstar, her first name is also a season. Amen.
Summer Rae.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yep.
That was Summer
I
Rae.
forgot all about her. Yeah.
That is 6 points. And the final question, Amen, is now once
Oh.
again
I won.
the
That was a
Wrestle
good round, though.
the Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion. This now makes her, what, an 8-time
I lost count.
Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion. Smokey Z, you put up a hell of a fight in this one, buddy.
Good job, buddy.
Getting there, man.
Getting better.
I think we finally got to an era that he could know something about.
It's funny that it was hardcore.
Or B.
Smokey Z.
So, folks, thank you for joining us again this week. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking the evening to listen and watch with us. If for whatever reason this video gets taken down because WWE once again flags it, I can promise you we'll dispute it again. And much like the last one, we will be victorious, and it'll be back up in a couple of weeks. So, as for those of us here at Wrestle Rewind, I'm Tommy T.
Double K.
Amen.
Smokey Z.
And we will see you next week live at 8:30 p.m. for Wrestle Rewind.